Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Summer Daisies, still delivering you Halloween stories for this Halloween countdown. Now, on today's episode 2, I'm going to be giving you a story that's quite long, I would say. Now, this one is titled Halloween Week. Now, in the year of 2019, I was in my last year of high school. I was doing grade 12, matric, and it just so happened that in Halloween week, there was quite a lot of stuff that was happening in my boarding house. I'm always telling you guys stories about boarding school, but that's because a lot of things happen there. But anyways, there were quite a lot of stories here and there and here and there. What basically happened was that, let me tell it from one room to another, because each room was experiencing its own lot of things. So it was October, obviously, and then just a lot of bizarre things were happening to a lot of people at the same time, but we never really put it together until we had to have some people from the church come and pray for us. Now, where do I even start this story? I'll start with the first incident that I heard. Now, um, because grade 12 is the last year that we're in high school, a lot of girls who are day scholars decide that they want to enter boarding school. And so in our grade 12 year, there were a limited number of rooms, and so other grade 12 learners weren't in the same dorm as us, and they had to find rooms somewhere else. So every morning I had this friend who lived in the room that wasn't a part of the grade 12 section. And this one morning she came to me and she was like, she wasn't okay. And I was like, what's up? Because like we always used to do our hair together, because quite a lot of us in the hostel had natural hair, and it was just easier for me to do hers and her to do mine. And so, okay, she comes in the one morning and I can see she's not well, and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, I just had like such a crazy dream last night. I literally just dreamt a whole lot of like horrible stuff. And I'm like, what was that? And she's like, nah, I can't tell you now because I'm still shaken up. I just woke up. I'm like, okay. We go down to breakfast, we eat breakfast, and we come back up. And I'm asking her, what did you dream last night? Because she's still like shaken up about it. And she's like, no, like, I just had a very strange dream last night where it was like how, like, I sort of like had this thing where I could see all of, like, I could see me and my roommates like sleeping as we usually do, but it's sort of like I was looking out of my body and I just saw this man just running to us and just killing us first. And I tried to escape and I tried to open the door and nothing would happen. And it was just so horrible that I was the last person who was killed and I could see each of my roommates getting killed before me. So I'm like, maybe it's just like, maybe it's just, all the horror movies are like finally playing out like in you, like, or whatever. I don't know. And I'm like, don't take it seriously, man. Like, forget about it. So we don't take it seriously, and that night she doesn't have a nightmare again. And following in that week, though, she had it again. Same nightmare, same details. But then this time, her roommate had the same dream as well. And she hadn't told her roommate at that time because she had only told us. And so it was quite odd that they were having the same dream. It was like, what's happening? And then we put that story on pause for now, and we go into the second of what happened. Now we had um three house mothers in total, and basically one house mother was in charge of the cooking, and another was in charge of like the overall looking after of the hostel, and then one was in charge of the cleaning. So the White House mother comes in. She is her rooms were like sort of like, there was the boarding house, and then there was sort of like houses to let, and then she resided in one of those. So the one morning before she gets up for like getting up to come to hostel and to cook breakfast for us, she says she heard this scream at like quarter past or 20 past 4 in the morning, and she describes it as like being like a woman's scream. So obviously we're like, maybe it was like one of the girls. But like the thing is that hostel is locked. Every night it is locked. It can't be unlocked unless it's the house mother who unlocks it in the morning. And she only unlocks it at like past 7 or so. Like maybe like at 6:30. So this happening at quarter past 4 is very strange. And she put it out of her mind because she told the other house mothers, and then she put it out of mind. She was like, okay, maybe it was somebody shouting out from the street, and it sort of sounded like it was inside of the property. So we put that on hold. And then comes with my room. Now in my room it was me and two other roommates. We slept very like close to each other because what we sort of did is we bunched up our beds together on the one side of the room, and then put our studying tables on the other, and then our wardrobes, because they were built in, we couldn't move them, and so they were on one section of the wall. So I wake up one morning. I just came back from the shower. I'm sitting down on the bed, putting my lotion on and everything. It's just a normal morning to me. Nothing has happened. And one of my roommates is just like staring at me with like those eyes that would put you like 6 feet under. So I'm like, why you look at me like that? Like, obviously I didn't do anything. I just woke up. So I'm like, why you look at me like that? And then she is like, cause you woke me up. I'm like, I woke you up when? She's like, this morning. So I'm confused. I'm like, how can I wake you up when I've literally just woken up myself? And she's like, yes, because I heard you. She was like, she heard me. Heard me. I'm not sure how. She's like, yes, because I heard you. And she's like, I heard you or somebody like you. And you came to my bed and you were like, wake up, wake up. And you were calling my name saying, wake up. And I'm like, what? Are you sure you were not like hallucinating or something? Because, and she said this happened like around past 4 in the morning. Because she says, I supposedly woke her up, and she's like, I checked my phone and it was 4 o'clock, and then I'm thinking, why are you waking me up at this time? And she says like when she woke up, she looked over at me and I was asleep. So then she thought, okay, perhaps it's our other roommate. She looks over at her, she's also asleep. And she's like, but I didn't hear you get back into bed. So I'm like, are you sure it was me? Is it not somebody perhaps who came into the room and woke you up? She's like, no, it couldn't have been. Because the distance from our beds to our door is like, she says once a person shook her, she just immediately woke up, and then she didn't see anybody. And like for that to happen, somebody would have had to be running, and she would have heard the footsteps of running. So it's too early in the morning. I'm like, I don't want to get scared so early in the morning. So my friend says, you were probably like in dreamland or something. making this up. She's like, no, I woke up and I looked over you and I was like, I'm gonna get her. I'm like, what? Okay, so we put that on hold as well.